The verse of the day is Philippians 1:11, and it says, "May you always be filled with the fruit of your salvation, the righteous character produced in your life by Jesus Christ, for this will bring much glory and praise to God." May you always be filled with the fruit of your salvation. What is this fruit? We've talked about this before, the fruit of the Spirit, Galatians 5:22. But the fruit of the Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. That's the fruit of our salvation. And it's not like you just get to pick and choose which fruit. You get all of that fruit. There's so much good in this verse because it really highlights how to capture this fruit, how to walk in this relationship with Jesus, and highlighting that it has to be relationship because it's Him doing it in you. And in order for Him to produce fruit in your life, we have to be connected to Him. Right? Think about any plant that grows. How does a plant grow? You have to water it. It has roots. And this verse instantly reminds me of John 15:4-6. It says, "Remain in me and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. Yes, I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing." This verse highlights that Jesus has to be our root. Jesus is our vine that our fruit is produced from. And how do we produce fruit with Him? What's our watering system? Our watering system is spending time in His Word, is watering our relationship, is spending time with Him. In order to grow a garden, you have to spend time growing it. And so with your relationship with Jesus, you have to spend time growing it. And remaining in Him simply looks like spending time with Him. And you might ask, okay, why do I have to remain in Him? Why is this a thing? Why do I have to remain in Him for Him to remain in me? Why can't He just remain in me and grant me that freedom? The reason why is because you and I live in a fallen world with a real enemy after us. We have a sinful nature. We have to remember that. And so if we don't remain in Him, we are susceptible to believing lies. We are susceptible to following our selfish, fleshy ways. And this also reminds me of that verse that says, whatever you feed more is going to lead your life. If you feed your spirit will lead your life. If you feed your flesh is going to lead your life. So on any given day, whatever you feed more is going to be the leader. It's going to be the thing you focus on or the thing you follow. And if we don't put into practice remaining in Him, aka developing relationship, we will be overcome by our selfish ways. We will follow our selfish tendencies. Our sinful nature will take control. So we have to have self-control by putting into practice relationship and being disciplined in our relationship, because that protects us from following our sinful nature. God has actually been teaching me this lesson recently, and I've been walking with Him for 10 years. And I still need this lesson. I still get busy in my schedule, and sometimes my quiet time with Him gets stripped away or not prioritized. And when I get in a routine of not prioritizing my quiet time, my spirit is so low. My tank is low. My energy is low. And I'm more susceptible to being judgmental and impatient and unkind and short-tempered and irritated and bothered by people. My capacity to handle people is low. And every single time I get into a heart posture of, why are people so overwhelming right now? Why do I feel like I want to run away from people? Every time I'm reminded, oh, my quiet time is not being filled up like it should be. And so my fleshy ways, the irritable ways, our sinful, selfish ways starts to take residence and lead us and be our focus. But when we allow the Spirit to be our everyday nourishment, this is what fuels us. We get fueled with more love, and the parts of us that get irritated get disarmed, because that's what God does. He disarms our selfish tendencies. He disarms our sinful ways because He has power over them. And when we read time in His Word and we spend time with Him, we remember that it's Him doing the work in us. It's the Holy Spirit changing our heart, renewing our mind, bearing the fruit from our life. And we read that in today's verse. In today's verse, it says, "May you always be filled with the fruit of your salvation, the righteous character produced in your life by Jesus." It's Jesus producing it in you. What do we have to do? Remain in Him and He remains in you. Because the more we remain in Him, the more the enemy doesn't get access to us. The more we're on guard, the more we're focusing on truth, so we're not susceptible to being deceived. So you can believe in Jesus and having walked with him for many, many years, but if you stop abiding in him, then you are still susceptible to following your selfish tendencies. This is something we have to fight and war against until the day we die and get to be in heaven. But the good news is the more we remain in him, the more he remains in us. It's also super important that when you remember, oh, I'm not feeling fueled up and full of love because my quiet time is suffering, because I haven't been prioritizing it and my spirit is low and my flesh is taking residence. When you remember that, the key is remembering that all you have to do is change your habits and remain in him. The enemy will try to tell you that your irritable, judgy, impatient ways are who you are, which makes you feel stuck and condemned and full of shame. But God just wants to get our attention. Hey, you're feeling this way because you're not remaining in me. And when you remain in me, you gain the power, the strength, and the energy to love well. So when we're irritable and annoyed, don't condemn yourself or shame yourself. We live in a fallen world. We have a sinful nature. You are a human being who is not perfect, but we know a perfect man and we get to be in relationship with him, which helps us progress and change and remember that our sin is not who we are. Because the more we remain in him, the more our fruit changes and our heart changes and the judgment decreases and the patience grows. But the enemy will try to get you to feel condemned that this is who you are. God will convict us and be like, hey, spend time with me. You've been prioritizing this, this, and this, and it actually is backwards, because if you spend time with me, you get the energy, the love, the strength, the wisdom, the strategy to do everything I've called you to do. Galatians 6:7 says, don't be misled. You cannot mock the justice of God. You will always harvest what you plant. You will always harvest what you plant. If you're planting relationship with God and reading his word and spending time with him, you're going to harvest the fruit of the Spirit. You're going to harvest his fruit. Your heart is going to change. But if we plant us being the leader of our life and the ways of the world, we're going to harvest that. And what's the fruit of the world? The fruit of the world is attached to lies, is attached to you be the boss, you take care of your life, pride, all of the things that draw us away from God. Romans 8:5 explains this really well. It says, those who are dominated by the sinful nature think about sinful things, but those who are controlled by the Holy Spirit think about things that please the Spirit. It always goes back to our thought life. What are we focusing on? Our focus is our future. Is Jesus our focus? He'll be our future. The fruit of Jesus will be your future. If you remain in him, he remains in you. If your focus is you and self and doing things your way and fear or worry and all of that, that's going to be your future. The fruit of our salvation is produced by Jesus. Our role, remaining in him so that he can produce it in us. Because when we remain in him, it's actually an open door saying, hey, Lord, I want what you have for me. Have your way within me. And the good news is Jesus, this guy, defeated all sin and all death. So anything you feel like you're stuck in, he has power over. So when we remain in him, he gives us access to that power and we learn how to step in alignment with that power. Okay?